Okay, good evening. Welcome back to Masterclass. Doon sa mga nanonood ng recording, no? Hindi kasama sa recording yung chismis namin. Joke? Okay. So, before that, no? And then, minsan nakakat na namin sa dulo. No? Hindi na sa amin mga extra. Joke lang yun. Hindi naman part ng masterclass din yun. Okay. Okay. May may direct message siya si Jason. Kailangan ko sabihin to, Jason, sorry. Yung commission daw ang habog kaya inaaway yung term. Joke lang daw. Okay, sige. All right, so good evening to everybody. Welcome back to Masterclass. So this is the 7th session. Believe it or not, we are now two-thirds already done. After this tonight, two-thirds na tayo. Patapos na. We are now entering our last three formal sessions plus graduation plus the two bonus sessions. So, bilis no? Bilis yung panahon at natapos na natin. We have entered our third week already. So, we are now at session 7. And I hope, no? Sabi ko nga, medyo mamimiss nyo din yung mamimiss nyo din tong MWF 7 to 9-ish tayo kasi, di ba? Medyo, I think, what was our record? Our record was last session ba natin yung pinakamahaba natin or the one with Dr. Alvin Ang? Anyway, so I think Marvin mahaba din. I think lahat mahaba, no? So I hope, no? Akala ko ulit, wag naman. Hindi lang kayo ang advisor na dapat turuan. Okay, sige. So longest session na parang ang mahaba lagi Marvin, ako, yung insurance and minsan nagpapalit-palit. Depende sa Q&A portion. But yung kay Dr. Alvin kasi minsan maraming nag-live pa nga si Marvin. Alam mo yun, hindi nagpapahinga yun. Ganun mga, yung mga hindi napapakot. Anyway, so tonight, ito na because medyo nabugbog kayo, no, for sessions 3, 4, 5, 6. Apat na sunod-sunod na medyo challenging in terms of the brain. Sabi nga, marami nagising na brain cells, no? Marami nagising na brain cells. So yan yung yan yung medyo lang. So episodes sessions 3, 4, 5, 6 sunod-sunod yan. Partly on session 1 konti, but really 3, 4, 5, 6 were the heavy technical ones. Now we are more shifting towards more the application type, the more soft skill type, more marketing and sales type, because Masterclass has been designed to be more balanced. And tonight, okay, I am happy to share with you the topic for tonight, which is our digital presentation. Basically, it's still presentation. I just call it digital presentation kasi we are now shifted more towards the digital arena. Okay, so digital arena na tayo. So we're now using the digital presentation for the master class. Now, just to lay down the expectation. There is no one way, right way, better way, best way to present or to be able to to start discussion with clients. And also, this is not going to cover. This will not cover product presentations because kayo yan. Iba-ibang products nyo, iba-iba yung styles nyo. But this is more like, I meet a client, how do I start discussing with them? How do I start selling conceptually? And then later on, if you're able to connect well and establish, needs base and everything, you should be able to easily transition towards product presentation and then hopefully do your closing afterwards. Somebody was asking me, as I mentioned before, na yung style ko talaga, hindi ako one-sitting presenter. Na unang-una, that's a choice that I made. Secondly, I felt that is the right thing to do. It's more professional to do because how can I come up with a presentation without really thoroughly understanding the needs of the client? But sometimes, some clients are already ready, na-presenta na, upgrade lang, and all these things, then that's not a problem. You can, pwedeng pwedeng alam niya ng insurance, alam niya ng ganyan, and then gusto lang niya magdagdag. So doon, yun parang upsell na lang yun. It's I would do that as well. All right. So good evening again. Our topic tonight for digital presentation. And I wanted to do this. Ang konsepto ko dito is I wanted to share with you how I connect with clients, how I connect with people, and you will see some of these I use in my presentation skills because generally pare-pareho naman yung gusto natin. We want people to create awareness. So basically this is a session that I will do with you. Again, this is where it's really more my preferences that I share in a way. Some of them are my trade secrets, no? Something like that. But I will share with you. And of course, like all sessions, you will get a copy of this session. You can pattern presentations after this, but please respect the author, like me, that you don't just change my name there and put your name there. I want you to, and that's the reason why you're also doing session 9, so that how do you create things like this. Some of this presentation can find itself in Facebook, in your social media accounts, because maganda rin siya pang attract ng tao, pang conversation starter. Okay? So it's better to have these things. So assuming that your client, you've prospected well, you've created your approach already, and then he or she is now willing to talk to you. Paano ba? Or pwedeng lang. This is also, you're talking to a group of people na wala pang awareness, or they invited you to speak. They invited you to share. And this is also something that you can use. And hopefully it's going to be helpful for you. Like before, if you have any concerns, if you have any comments, just chat it, and it's open, my chat box open. Sometimes pag medyo magulo na yung desktop ko, close ko, pero binubuksan ko pa rin siya para mabasa ko yung mga presentation niyo. So game tayo. Can you type na lang game para kung talaga gusto ko na makita kung gising kayo, no? Nakapagkape na ba kayo? Game. Ilan ba tayo ngayong gabi? Usually kasi, no, bumabagsak yung attendance towards the end of the master class. So I think maybe we're missing about 25 or 30 people, but that's fine. They can always catch up with the videos. All right? So game na tayo. Ayan, dami nag-game. So again, good evening. Now, let me start. Before we do this, again, presentation siya, kaya siya digital because the assumption is naka-Zoom kayo or magka-present, something like that. Kaya naka-digital process na. But again, these are also something that you can use face-to-face. Remember, face-to-face. Remember, we're going to open up the economy. Maybe some of you are now ready to go face-to-face. And actually, some clients may be already ready to meet you. Okay? Now, just yung nag-comment na wag daw ako magganyan kasi wrinkles. Kaya nagsalamin na ako para maaninaw ko. Thank you kung sino man you're concerned about my wrinkles. It's okay lang. I can afford to have wrinkles now. Okay. So, some tips for you, guys. Some tips for you. Okay? First and foremost, okay, when you're doing this, connecting your Zoom or whatever facility, maybe ngayon o Zoom, but maybe in a few months or maybe in a year, 2 years, mapapalit na tayo. So first and foremost, very tantamount and very important is that you have good internet connection. So kung kaya, I understand sa certain places in the provinces, mahina ang connection. But sa akin, I've been telling people to invest, number one, in high-speed internet. Meaning to say, if it's available, you want to be, huwag na kayo magtipid dito. Make sure that you are getting the fastest available that you can of course afford to do that. Kasi minsan kahit nga mabilis, di ba? Yan pa. So, tingnan nyo, available ba ang fiber sa inyo? Okay? Like ako, if you're asking me, I use Converge and I have upgraded to 200 Mbps. And sometimes I don't get to 200 Mbps, pero even if it slows down, I'm still relatively fast. And sometimes, di ba, humihina pa din siya. Okay? Especially if there are multiple users in your household. So, to that, you use you use LAN if you can. You have your modem beside you if you can. Kasi yung problema ko sa Mac ko, wala nang LAN connection to, no? Pero yung mga ibang computers, di ba, may LAN pa. So, kung kaya nyo naman mag-LAN kayo, mura lang bumili ng mahabang LAN, kabit nyo lang pag nagpe-present kayo, it's faster that way. Or if you don't want to do that, if it's difficult like my case, you might want to invest in what you call this, ito yung ano, I got this yung mesh, Wi-Fi mesh. It's like these round things that unbelievable, very good connection, especially for weaker areas. So, minsan yung mga repeaters doesn't really work. Lalo na kung bahay mo makongkreto, second floor. Hirap na hirap ako sa taas ko. So, I have invested in this in this Wi-Fi mesh. No, I use the is it Linksys? I think so. Basta I did that. So, meron Google yan, meron. So, you might want to consider that. Okay? The mesh, the Wi-Fi mesh. It's not cheap. Okay, I spent like 11, 12,000 for 3 of them. Pero I believe it's gonna pay for itself. Yeah, 11K na ngayon. Okay. And actually, hindi lang tatlong ginamit kong mesh sa bahay. Ginawa kong 6 because, you know, my kids are homeschooling and then so forth like that. Yung asawa ko, mahilig pa mag kaya Korean novela. So, importante sa kanya ang wag lang Dota at ML. Okay, Dota at ML guys. Okay, so D-Link na mesh. Marami yan. So ako I think I use Linksys. No? So I use that. May Xiaomi pa yan and so, stuff like that. So you might want to. So again, try to get the fastest connection that you have. Okay, try to wire your house. Try to use LAN if you can. If not, try use mesh or basta Counter-Strike. Okay, basta make sure that you connect. So kailan ISP Bonanza. Di ba yan? Naglabasan. Kanina nagpatugtog lang ako ng mga 90s music. Naglabasan na naman yung mga oldies na nga naka-enroll dito. Okay? So, anyway. Kulit. Okay? US Robotics yung brand ng dial-up ko. Okay? So, you try to do it as fast as you can. Converge, PLDT, some of the globe. I know there's additional cost, but you look at it this way. May mga cost naman na nawala sa'yo. Like traveling and stuff like coffee shops and stuff. So, you might want to be able to put on that. I never thought I will be getting this fast internet until I realized I need to. Okay? Hindi na to luho, need to. So again, here's me speaking to you that as a professional, this is a need so that when you talk to clients, you might want to be able to have a stable connection. Alright? So, very, very important. Okay. Kaskas muna. Lamasa na naman yung makukulit dito. Okay. Yan yung gagawin natin. Alright. So, that's very important. Okay? I think somewhere along the way in my first master class because I was having difficulty with I think I was having difficulty with Zoom connections. So I asked my ISP to get I tried to get the medyo on the higher end. So next, as you try to prepare, as you try to present, be prepared. So dapat ang naka-ready na yung cheat sheet mo, yung idiot board mo, whatever it is that you use. Okay, yung notes mo, nandiyan na yan. Or some people may nakahiwalay na iPad or laptop and they go through that so that it's gonna be easier for you to do so. Right? Wag kayong kaya ko yan, ready na ako. Kasi hindi maganda na hindi kayo, pag nakipag-usap sa kliyente, parang hindi kayo ganun convincing kasi nga, di ba, nahihirapan kayo. So, dapat handa tayo. Right? So, ready nyo lang yung mga stuff nyo. Ako, I don't use notes because number one, I create my own presentation. So, kabisado ko siya. So, when I see a photo, I see a word, I know how to proceed. That's how I prepare. Okay? So every presentation I made it myself. Even up to now, I tried, I stopped, my assistants would do it before. I was never happy and naguguluhan ako. So yeah, so try to use it. If you're using a script, so I can try to be comfortable with the script. Maybe not memorize it, but comfortable. So one of the keys there is maybe you have keywords and outline so that natutundan mo, nawawala na ba ako sa presentation ko or what. Or, like what I do, I use the slides are my guide. So yan, pwede ganyan. So medyo slides. May mga kilala ko na magaling, they only use 2 to 3 slides and they're fine with it. So, it's really interactive. So, meron naman sobrang dami slide. If you notice, Marvin used a lot of slides. Okay, so, basically, yun ang notes niya. Next, practice. Okay? Don't wing it. Practice it. Practice with your co-advisor. Practice with your spouse, with your brother, sister, your friend. Okay? Yeah, mahirap mag-buffering on the spot. Practice. Okay? You want to be able to practice with people. Say it. See it. Record yourself. Today's technology, you can do all the recordings, put on your camera. You do it that way. Okay? And then, syempre, dress appropriately. Okay? Properly. At least maganda nga ngayon, di ba? I'm wearing my suit. I'm wearing my nice dress shirt. Okay? I just remove my watch. Sometimes I even wear a watch, but I'm wearing shorts and chilenas. Anyway, but you wouldn't see. Pero at least maganda ngayon, di ba? You can look. You know, I once gave a talk to business process outsourcing na from home. Uh, basta nila ang tips na basta maganda kami, okay kami from here and up. Okay? So, makeup kami. Huwag mo na natitignan ano yung sa ilalim. So, you know, dress appropriately. Hindi ko naman sinabi sa inyo mag-gown kayo, no? Na may sequins pa. Huwag kayo mag-tuxedo, nakakatawa itsura nyo, no? Pero appropriate nila. So maybe a nice jacket or a polo shirt. You know, even if I remove my, it still looks good. So if you notice, I will always wear something appropriate for you, especially when I am presenting. Okay? Some tips din, dito ba yun? Some tips ko rin nabibigay sa inyo. Okay? Okay? Some tips, important ha, you might, sequence, you might also, ganda ng tip. Huwag doon dadalhin sa CR yung ano sa meeting. Oo nga naman. Tsaka mag-mute kayo or mag-ano kayo. Okay. Okay. So, so yan ang situation. So, ako, some tips ko sa inyo ha. And I guess you take it to the grain of salt. You might want to also invest on a good webcam. Okay? On a good webcam. Kasi before, I was using the camera of my laptop and I'm using a MacBook Pro. So, medyo okay siya. But then I have to set up my ring lights and stuff like that. And if you're looking at me right now, I hope I'm clear sa inyo, I'm not even using any ring light. Yan yung key pag maganda ang camera mo. So I'm using, just in case you're wondering, I'm using a Logitech C922. Kasi wala akong mabili. I just, nilasada, Shopee ko pa yan sa China. Okay, so I had to wait for like 3 weeks for it to come in. But for me, it's worth it. It's costing something like 6,000 K. It's it's the higher end because this is HD. So very important, no? So yan lang. Ay, hindi na ako kailangan pa. Kasi iba nag-aano pa yung minadaya yung face, yung may mga touch-up. Wala pong touch-up yan. Nasa camera lang po yan. Wala po akong filter. Okay. Wala akong filter ha. Brio yung meron yung mahal, yung twice the cost. Kasi 4K yon, which I felt I didn't need anymore. And I don't want to spend that much. So tama na ako dyan. Okay? So, kulit ni Meg. Okay, so walang filter po yan. Wala pong touch-up yan. Natural. Meron touch-up to. Okay? Ito mga tricks na natin. May touch-up to sa Zoom. Yung isa sa video setting. Kaya minsan parang ang imposible, ang kinis ng mukha. Pero ako walang touch-up. Anyway. So, yung pa isa, no? Diba, sa kasalamin ako, pag naka ring light ako, may bilog yung mga mata ko. So, hindi rin maganda tingnan. Nakaka-annoy din. So, get a good camera, good lighting, or you can still use your ring lights. There's a way to position your ring lights. Wag right in front, but medyo naka-angle sa inyong gilid na ganon. Okay? So, 2 ring lights is a good setup. Okay? So, very important you do that. All right? So, that. And next, also, is get a good microphone. Okay? Good microphone. Sometimes, even your headsets, narinig ko hininga, garbled yung sound, hindi siya ganun ka-clear. Okay? And this is, if you're wondering what I'm using, this is an Audio-Technica ATR 2500X. Cost me about 7K. So very important that you need to hear me also clearly. Okay? Now, why am I saying that you need to invest in this? Because if you're looking at this from a long-term perspective, okay, then you want to be able to ensure increases your chance of clarity. So very important. You know, my other, like sila Val, started to invest in this kasi sabi niya, kuya, bakit yung sa'yo ang linaw and stuff. So very important. Huwag kayong bibili ng mga microphone sa Shopee na Ano nga ba yung microphone? Ang dami bumili. Ang pangit, BM800. Parang may lata-lata. Okay, do not buy that. Okay, so do not buy that. Merong mga okay naman. There are alternatives. No? This is Audio Technica, but there are more expensive and there are cheaper ones. Okay? Pero okay din naman. So, okay din naman yung use. So, you wanna be able to use it. Yowa, Showa, what is that brand? I can't remember. Boya, sorry. Boya also is a good. Boya can sound as good as an Audio Technica, sure, but it's cheaper. Okay? So, you might want to, okay, hindi Kyowa. Sorry, Boya. Kyowa, no? Mali, no? Electric pa din nabili. Okay, so, lalagyan ng bigas, tama. Okay. Sige, kulit ng mga tao ngayon. So, that's also a good microphone is good, no? Before I was considering buying kasi I use a Mac AirPods Pro. I tested it. It can, and then, sorry, I just wanted to emphasize. Tingnan mo, di ba, clear? You don't see wires, you don't see a dangle of a microphone. In fact, I've been telling my friends, no, hindi cool na nagbe-video kayo, may nakaharap na microphone sa mukha nyo, nagsasalta kayong ganon. We're not like singers, di ba? We're finance people. So, you don't see anything. So you look at it, you won't see a microphone. Iba, gusto lang nila yung feel na meron nakadangle, para professional. Ako, personal to I'd rather not do it. Okay? So, if you've seen my presentations, my YouTube, you won't see anything in front of me. Just the frame and my slides. No microphones, no anything. That's point. Okay, last na. Sorry, nagiging ano lang ako, nagiging ano ako nice cancellation ng manok ng kap. Ano mo problema din kasi minsan yan, ano? May ganun din talaga. Okay, so, ayan. Those who are using virtual backgrounds, use a green screen on your back. Kasi, ang pangit din, minsan parang lumulutang ka, o tapos minsan nabubura pa mukha mo. Alam mo yung ganun? So, okay lang to have a virtual background if you're not, if you don't like your back. I mean, this is not a virtual background, it's my real background. I'm in a study. So I'm just me here. I don't use it virtual unless, my clients require me. Diba? Labas ako, meron akong Sun Life, Pro Life, Film Life na, meron ako, may Ayala Life ako, Ayala Land akong background. Okay, meron akong Atram na background. Marami akong background. Hindi ko nga ginagamit. Okay. So, very important to use that also. Okay? So, yan. So, importante yan. So, sorry. Ano na rin kasi, dami tao, hindi pa rin nila mag-gets na I need to invest, I need to pay on this. Especially if you want to push. Kasi, honestly, how long are we going to do digital presentation? We're going to do this for a longer than what we expect. So, it might be important to do that. So, camera, good mic, internet connection, these are very, very important in today's environment, in the new normal, right? So, good internet, be prepared. Kasama na lagay ko na nga dito, microphone, camera, and everything. Practice and dress appropriately. Okay? Properly, appropriately. Do not overdress. Diba? I saw a video of, well, kasi fashion siya, di ba? Heart evangelista, overdressed lahat, no? Because that's her statement. Pero hindi naman tayo ganun. So, try to look as professional as you can. Okay? So, kahit na may six-pack ka, huwag mo ilabas during your presentation. Para na lang, ibang klaseng presentation yun. Okay. So, now, some concepts, some ideas. Okay? Discuss more on concepts first. When you're talking to clients, you're presenting it, it is always good to talk to them about concepts. Okay, don't try to sell. Don't be in a rush to present products. Don't spend too much time trying to sell your company that you represent. Because I think all of you are working for credible, well-known organizations. Talk to them a little bit. Huwag niyo na bigyan ng 5 minutes. Huwag na kayo mag-play ng, by the way, before we start, let me play our company video na 5 minutes ng buong history. Okay? And I've seen some people who do that, no? Okay, so wag na. Just quick background, I am from blank blank life, I'm from blah blah blah, and this is what I do. Huwag nyo nang i-exage. Okay? Okay, huwag nyo exage. Huwag nyo nang, don't spend too much time on it so that you can have more time talking to them about concepts. So conceptual, the idea of presentation is very conceptual, and do not rush to present the product. There's a time for that. There's a time for that. All right? Don't jump into that also. Remember, when you're presenting a digital presentation, your primary goal is to educate. The sale will be a byproduct. Okay? Your primary goal is to educate, and the sale will just be a byproduct. I mean, ultimately, that is the end goal. But for us to get there, you need to be able to educate, talk about concepts, and eventually there will be a time for products and all these things. Now, it is always a good idea to get used to the new normal, which is the low touch way. Unlike before, di ba? I mean, some people are very good talking to somebody, nababasa niya yung signal, nakikita niya yung movement. It's very difficult in the today because number one, you only see my facial expression, you don't see my body movements. So may mga ganyan, sanay na sanay siya ganun. And maraming tao hindi masanay. So tip lang dun sa mga nag-a-adjust, masanay na kayo because we're gonna be like this longer than what you remember, we thought that we're gonna be out of this pandemic in 2 to 3 months, di ba? Mag-anniversary na natin next month, di ba? 1 year lockdown na tayo. Okay, so we have one of the longest lockdowns in the world. So get used to the new normal, the low-touch way, because this is the way of the future. But again, it doesn't mean that you won't be personable, di ba? You won't personalize it. You still do it, but you just have to find a way to do so and find a way to connect with them still. All right? So yan yung some tips ko para sa inyo. Now, I'll give you a little bit of how I do it. No? When I'm talking to groups, talking to presentation, and then you can contextualize it for them. Remember, I'm trying to present to you, okay? Ang goal ko ngayon is try to convince you to do something about your finances. Basta, yan ang ultimate goal ko. And then later on, let me know if I was able to convince you to do something about your finances. So when I talk to clients, I don't know where they're starting. Remember, you've done a little bit of research. So here's what I do with people, especially in a group or group presentation or people I don't know. I ask them to go to a simple test. Now, this is not a difficult test. I just want, number one, if you look at the test, I'll explain later. I'll explain later. Tingnan ko kung magets nyo ano yung what I was trying to drive with this test. So I start by telling them, let's take a test. This is going to be a simple test. Don't worry about it. Wala pong math to, and so forth and so on. So I try to get them in talking to the test. So I want to ask you a few questions because I want to know where we need to start with. Diba? And there's always a starting point with your engagement. So before I engage you, this test will help me understand how I can better help you. So parang ganun ang dating. All right? So as we do this, I want you to take the test. Kunyari, you will be my guinea pigs. You guys will be my clients. Okay ba yan? So I'm the financial advisor. I'm gonna be getting in and out. I'm gonna wear a financial advisor hat. Pero from time to time, I'm still gonna explain and teach it. Pero I'm gonna be a dual hat today, and you're gonna be my prospective client. Game tayo, game? So in a piece of paper, okay, or your phone, or whatever this is you want to do, I want you to take a test. So ready? Are you ready, guys? Ready? Ready ba? Ready? Game? Let me see nga kung game kayo. Game. Okay. Ready? Yes, okay. So let's take a test. I'm gonna ask you a question. First, my question is about your savings. Diba? Ang ipon nyo, may ipon ba kayo? Magkano bang ipon nyo? Now, if you have savings 3 times your monthly expenses or more, put your answer as letter A. So example, gumagastos ka ng 30,000 a month, meron ka bang 190,000, 100,000, then your answer will be letter A. So I wanted to see savings. Now, if you only have 1 to 2 times of your monthly expense, not income, monthly expense. So let's say I spend 50,000, I only have 60,000, then my answer will be letter B. Or if I have less than 1 month of my monthly expenses or maybe no savings, I will put letter C. So in a piece of paper, write down your answers. because later on, we will try to interpret those answers. Okay? Moving on? Moving on? Okay, next question. Let's talk about budgeting. Do you budget? Nagba-budget pa kayo? By the way, pwedeng English, pwedeng Taglish, pwedeng Tagalog, pwedeng Bisaya, kung Bisaya kayo. Contextualize ito sa inyo. Okay? So let's talk about budgeting. Diba? Do you have a structured, I have a structured budget and detailed record of my expenses. Kaya nililista ko. Alam ko lumalabas, alam ko pumapasok, or may app ako, or gumagamit ako ng Excel. Basta lahat, bago ako gumastos, bago ako bumili ng milk tea, nakalista yan, or something like that. So, very structured ka sa budget mo. So, then you answer letter A. Okay? Naka-Excel na mga utang. Okay? Sasobrahan ko ng kape si Mr. Melia. Okay, letter B. Okay? May mga tao naman na hindi naman ganun ka-tedious, pero they have an idea on how they spend and have a ballpark figure of their spending. So, more or less, tinatansya, pero okay din naman, di ba? More or less, nagagawa pa rin naman. Then you are letter B. Okay? And letter C, ito yung mga, we just wing it. O, bahala na, tingnan natin kung ano meron. Okay, mga ganyan. So, yan yung mga situation. So, ang sagot mo, either A ka, B ka, or C ka. Alright? Moving on. Let's talk about your life insurance. Do you have any coverage? Okay, by the way, don't judge me, ha? Ito base gauge lang naman to kung ano na ang status nila. So, letter A, if your coverage is at least 3 times your annual income. So, if you are earning 1 million a year, do you have 3 million or more? Then your answer is letter A. Okay? You have coverage, but it's only 1 to 2 times your annual income. Let's say you earn only 500,000 a year, and your coverage is only 500 or 1 million or 750, then your answer will be letter B. Now, if your coverage is just less than 1 year of your less than your annual salary, or you don't have no insurance, or may insurance ka pero lapse na, okay? Yung St. Peter po, hindi po life insurance yan. Kasi may sumugot sa akin dati, meron ako St. Peter. Okay. Sige, joke lang, kapag sa St. Peter. Nagtotok pa naman ako doon minsan. Okay. So, then you put letter C. Okay? Letter C. Let's talk about your investments. Okay, no amount ha. Napansin nga, no amount. Okay? So, letter A. I invest in stocks, mutual funds, UITF, VUL, or real estate. Maybe you can put cryptocurrency there. Then you put letter A. Okay? In other words, you're more on the medyo sophisticated type of investing na. Hindi na ito yung everyday investing na. Okay? So, letter A ka. Okay. Letter B, if you invest in just time deposit and money market accounts, nag-invest din naman yon, pero doon lang yung limited mo lang doon. So, then letter B ka. Okay? Kasi ayaw mo ng risk, ayaw mo ng so. Or letter C, hindi ka pa nag-i-invest. Okay? So, answer mo is A, B, or C. Right? Moving on, let's talk about your utang or your debt. Okay? If you don't have any debt, maybe you have a credit card but you pay it in full before, every time it's due. Then letter A ka. Okay? Then letter B, you have real estate or car mortgage only. Either or. So may bahay ako, nulog ako yung bahay. Okay, meron akong amortization. Then your answer is letter B. So car and real estate and or. Okay? Letter B. That kind of a debt is letter B. Now letter C, okay, meron ka ng mortgages and or may credit card balances ka, may mga personal loans ka. Okay, ito yung mga medyo mas matataas na interest. Okay, ang sagot mo, letter C. Okay? So either A, B, or C ka. And finally, my last question is, let's talk about preparing for the older age, the retirement. Okay? So letter A, no amount, just the, do you have a separate investment exclusively for retirement purposes? So, pwedeng bumili ako may condo ko na yung perang para pang retirement ko yan, may mutual fund ako, may pag-ibig MP2 ako, bumili na ako ng VUL na hindi ko gagalawin para sa retirement lang. Okay, then your answer is letter A. Some of them, like most people, may have some investments that you may be able to use for retirement, but you also may use it for other purposes. May siya, general use. We don't know, maybe, but maybe not. Okay? Then it's going to be letter B. And letter C, you are not thinking of that yet. Maybe I'm too young. I'm a millennial. All right? Millennial from the last millennium. Okay? So, you're then in letter C. Okay? So, okay. Credit cards lang. Okay? Tapos may balances. Okay? Then letter ano yan? Dito ka yan. So, dito ka sa letter B ka. Kasi, sorry, letter C ka na. Yung mga gumagamit ng credit card tapos hindi na mabawasan. Okay. Alright. So, SSS, so, ano natin yan? Okay. Kasi lahat naman may SSS dapat. Okay. So, I mean, ito specifically ginagamit mo yan for retirement. Okay? Like, may UITF, may mutual fund, may BUL, mayroong property. Okay? Pero ang purpose mo doon, like ako, I really have investments that are locked in for retirement, which I haven't touched in a long time. Okay? So, para doon lang talaga. So, retirement. Alright? So, what I wanted you to do is, you've answered all these questions, I want you to assign points for those questions. All letter A's will give you put 3 points. Okay, assign 3 points sa lahat ng letter A. Lahat ng letter B, assign 2 points. Lahat ng answers ng letter C, assign a point. And after you've done that, you total these points. Get the sum. 3 plus 1 plus 2. Arithmetic lang yan. Hindi ka lang mag-Excel. Okay, add mo lang yan and then let's look at your numbers. Ready? Okay. I'm assuming lahat kayo sumasagot. Lahat ba kayo sumagot? All 100 plus of you? Okay? Okay. Kasi diba, test, guinea pig ko nga kayo test ko. Okay. The moment of truth, let's interpret those answers. Okay. If you've answered between 14 to 18, then you don't belong to the majority. You are doing great. Sabihin you're okay. Okay ka. Diba? Pwede ka nang you are on your way to financial freedom. Okay. If you answered between 9 to 13, okay, today's learning will help you sleep better at night. If you answered malito, 8 pala to, 8 and below, you need to schedule a one-on-one. Tamang-tama na nag-uusap tayo ngayon. So basically. Okay, and that is a point. Now, let me explain why I go through this. Number one, hindi naman lahat kailangan gawin ng ito. If you noticed, I did not go very specific. Number one, I don't want the client to be, ang dami mong tanong kagad. Parang masyado ka ng fishy agad. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying, aside from getting a good grasp of their condition, I also wanted to build a rapport. If you see it that way, my design for this test is that I am slowly trying to tell my client what to expect in this engagement. And at the same time, I'm trying to plant certain ideas on what is important for him to prepare. Budgeting, life insurance, retirement planning, debt management. So all of these things are there, pero done in a very I don't know if it's a non-intrusive way because there are no numbers, merong ganun later on pag nagpa-financial planning kayo. Pero ngayon, I just want them to be very, very comfortable. Okay? Now, also at the same time, this can be a barometer for you on how you want to pursue your presentation direction. Okay? So if you get a client belonging to the 14 to the 18, so you know that your discussion with them will be on the higher level on how products can help them, how to make sure that retirement is sufficient, more of ganon. Okay? Yes, you can use it. Anything that you hear in masterclass, you can use it. Now, pero please do not use my slides. Okay? You create your own para you can put your branding on it also. Okay, so in that yes, you can use it. Okay, dito talaga eh. Okay, sige. 9 to 13. Yan. Dito, alam mo naman, medyo kailangan ng hand-holding tong kliyente ko. Medyo kailangan natin gumawa ng cash flow. Medyo, may ganon. So, alam mo na we can now spend more time with this client. I know the direction. Pero you also realize you're gonna be of great value to this prospective client. Now, if you meron kang 9 and below, yung mga problematic, ang key dito is you really need to help your client first. Diba? Help your clients first. Huwag kang atat. Gabayan mo muna yung kliyente mo. Unang-una, baka walang pambayad din sa yung kliyente mo na maayos. So, don't try to look for that opening to sell because you get me. So yan, Yan yung concept. It's a very simplified way, very simplified approach. It's not a perfect one. I mean, some people have done some questionnaires, but this is just simple. I just wanted to, you know, I wanted my client, my prospective client, to speak with me further, listen to me further, and spend time with me further. And this will help open it up for them. All right, now, okay, before that, I want to get your opinion. Imagine if you are an advisor, not an advisor, but a prospective client, and you go through this. Ano ba ang feeling mo? Okay, ano ba yung na-gets mo? Was it intrusive ba? Or was it, alam mo bang sinesetan pa kita sa sales? How do you feel about going to this test? Helpful ba to? Or sayang pa itong oras? I wanted to see, okay? I wanted to see how you view. Kasi meron akong idea why I do this. Not idea. Merong reason behind this. I've been sharing it with you na I wanted to, create that awareness and yet create that, that rapport, if you look at it that way. And at the same time, uh, it's a good self-assessment also. It's a starting point. And then later on, you want to put some numbers to it later on. So, yan. Okay, so yan, non-intrusive for you, very light. The whole idea is very light. Some people might compare. Somebody mentioned they compared it to somebody else. Yeah, iba kasi yung objective ko eh. Okay, the objective ko is I want to start somewhere. I want to start a relationship with my client. And this is where I want to do it. And slowly ease my way towards other things. Para hindi kagad yung dating nyo, Papa, did you know that 9 out of 10 Filipinos, blah, blah, blah. Parang gano'n. Di ba nakakita na kayo ng mga ganong klaseng presentation? Di ba? Parang, di ba? I mean, sorry to say, mga kumpanya maglalabas ng kung ano-anong presentation. Sa totoo mo, hindi naman helpful eh. Di ba? May nagagamit nyo ba talaga yun? Ano yun ang question, di ba? So, I don't know why they came up with those things. So yan lang. So marami silang nilalabas na strategy na hindi mag-work. So that's why you have to create. Kaya nga ito, I'm trying to connect with you, my experience, both as an advisor, then as an advocate, and now as your teacher. And then this is going to be helpful as we try to navigate more of these things forward. All right? I hope this is helpful for you. Okay. Intro pa lang tayo. Okay, now. Parang nag-webinar na, okay? Parang webinar yung labas ng data. May mga ganun na nakita ko, parang okay. Okay, tapos kausap mo, parang wala namang kahilgil siya. Okay. Ang style ko is while I'm talking to people, kasi maraming tao mas visual kaysa auditory. Ako personally, I'm auditory. I don't need pictures. I just listen, I'm okay. But most people are very visual in nature. So I put it here. So now I want to have conversation starters. Okay? I want to start conversations. And I want to, in a way, disturb my client's perspectives. Disturb lang. Okay? Dinidisturb ko yung parang lang parang lang I want to disturb the status quo for this client, or prospective client. So I start by telling, we know when I talk about personal finance, I use roller coaster as an example. Nauutal ako nag-stress na ako sa inyo, na kinakabahan ako sa inyo, baka hindi kayo bumili sa akin. Anyway, so I use a roller coaster to describe the personal financial life of people. Okay? Di ba? I mean, parang up and down. Minsan okay, minsan hindi. Alright, so I use that. Now, why do I do this? I want people to understand that I'm not expecting people to have perfection in their financial life. Kaya I'm here to help them. That's why I will tell stories like, oh yeah, maganda roller coaster, pero okay sakyan, pero hindi naman maganda para yan ang buhay natin. So I just start with this, photos and stuff like that. I use that. So I use this for presentations. I use this for talking to clients. So life is like this. Okay? Kung gusto mo nang magpatawa, parang love life, di ba? O something like that. So, yan. Tip lang ha, do not use humor if you are not humorous. Okay? Maraming tao trying hard. Okay? Then I start, bakit na mahirap? Remember, I'm talking about my Remember our behavior. So I'm getting pieces from our all other lectures, no? Then I tell them, kaya po mahirap mag-handle ng finances, hindi natin maayos, mahirap mag-ipon, mahirap umalis pagkautang, nakakatakot mag-invest. Because according to Dave Ramsey, a famous American personal finance influencer, author, and radio show host, he said that 80% is behavior and only 20% is head knowledge. Kaya po ganoon. Kaya po sa atin talaga, very important is we look at our behaviors. And these behaviors will help us. Understanding these behaviors, in a way, controlling these behaviors will help us achieve our goals in life. Okay, sorry. Parang, ano lang, dinadaanan ko lang. Okay? Then, I don't know if you've heard me doing my talks. Okay? I'm one of those weird speakers wherein I tackle hard-hitting topics and yet I can get people to laugh at themselves. May mga style, drama. Hindi ko style ng drama. Hindi bagay sa akin ng drama. Sa akin, comedy. But if you're not funny, please do not try to be humorous, trying hard on that thing. And I tell people, and one of the things that really help with people connect is stories. Because stories that are very relatable. Okay? Relatable. Okay. So I use a story. Okay. Nakakata picture ng matanda eh. Then I will tell them the Filipino story. At maraming Pilipino, tumatanda, walang ipon. And pagdating ng panahon, umaasa mga anak nila. At yung mga anak nila, nahihirapan na. Okay? Now, context. Kung kausap mo, anak ng mayaman, tipong mayaman na mayaman, maybe this will not work for them. This is for your average Filipinos. Di ba? yung kinikwento mo yung anak kong gata yung kliyente mo makakamana parang ng daang-daang milyon, di ba? So hindi mag-work to. Okay? So i-contextualize nyo to, ha? Kasi may friend ako ginamit to eh. Ginamit ito sa anak ng super yaman na tao. Dahil syempre hindi na-click. Okay, so ano to? Average Filipinos, middle class, OFWs. Ayan, pag si heart daw ang kausap mo, hindi mag-work ito. Okay. So, yun yung situation. So, I tell them, ang kahirapan ngayon, ang problema sa ating mga Pilipino, yung financial planning natin, is laging doon tayo umaasa sa anak natin, nahihirapan na. Now, especially if you're a client or prospective client, tumutulong sa magulang or nakikita nila that in the future, kailangan nila supportahan yung magulang nila. May disturbing factor na kagad doon. Okay? So you see that kagad. So I tell them, most Filipinos do not prepare for retirement. Maybe you can use some data. 8% of Filipinos prepare for retirement. At paano na yung 92%? Nasaan ba tayo? Nasa 8%? Nasa 92%? So again, now this, you can draw out situations. You can allow your client to talk to you, to tell his story, labas na yung hugot niya. These are very, very helpful. Helpful yan. Diba? Or when you're talking to a crowd, you can ask them, sino sa inyo dito tumutulong sa magulang? Okay? And most of them, ako. Question. Sino sa inyo rito, tatanong ko sa inyo, tumutulong sa magulang nyo, nagbibigay, nag-aabot? Okay? Can you put me? Or, alam mo in the future, kailangan mo magbigay kasi hindi nag-iipon ng magulang mo. Lagay mo nga. Me? Dami. Me? Sandwich generation, correct? Okay, dami. Question. Next question ko sa inyo. Madali ba? Sa totoo lang, madali ba? O mahirap din? Hindi madali, di ba? Mabigat din. Bakit? Napansin niyo mga magulang niyo, pag tumatanda, gumagaling sa emotional manipulation. Di ba? Di ba? Maraming hugot. So, yun ang mabigat din. Now, question is, may magagawa pa ba tayo? Wala na. Andiyan na yan eh. Pero may magagawa tayo para sa sarili natin. So, yung na-experience natin, hindi na ma-experience sa mga anak natin. Okay? Doon sa mga tumutulong sa magulang, nagbibigay, na nahihirapan, mabuhay kayo. Mandi madali yung ginagawa nyo. Alright? Pero doon sa mga hindi nagbibigay sa magulang, ano tawag sa inyo? Mga walang kwentang anak. Uy, joke lang. Hindi yan part ng presentation. Okay. Ginawa mo walang kwenta eh. No? Eh, mayaman yung magulang. Bakit pa? Okay. O, di ba? Mayaman yung magulang. Eh. Okay. So, okay. That's okay. So, you see me, no, I use humor a lot. But, I don't use humor so much when I'm talking to a person. So, mas mayaman magulang. May ganun, di ba? Okay. So, diba? Kasi ganyan yung situation eh. So, you already touched a nerve that is important. You already, not saying that you're setting it up for people, but you're dealing with realities with them. Understand? That this is the situation that they have. Okay? And then most of them, they don't want that to happen. Then I will try to tell them, hindi madali yan. Do you know, sabi ko sa kanila, na hindi ito, this should not have been the norm. And very cultural sa Pilipino, pero it doesn't mean that it's a correct culture. Kasi hindi ito yung norm. Okay? Social affair ito. Okay. So, mga kung ano naman nakikita nyo sa likod. Eh, hinahanap ko picture eh. Bakit ba? Wala akong nahanap na aling purin eh. Okay, so, malamang ko nasa Italy to kaya ganito. Okay, so, yan yung situation. Di ba? You wanna be able to help them. Guide them. Pero alam mo ba, yung talk to ka, alam mo, ito yung gusto namin baguhin eh. And I want you, this is the reason why I'm talking to you. This is the reason why this meeting is very important. Because do you know that it is not right to ask money from our children? Okay? In the Bible, it says 2 Corinthians 12:14, for children are not obligated to save up for their parents, but parents for their children. O, diba? Now, contextualize. Hindi lahat ng tao ginagamitan ng biblical scripture. Ko-contextualize siya. Ako I use because, I really stand firm with my faith. But you don't have to do it that way, okay? I'm just sharing with you how I do it. Because this is disturbing. Because if I use it as, hindi, dapat ko. Ang dating, judgmental ako. Ang dating, ako yung, parang ang galing-galing mo naman, Randall, di mo gagawin yan. Okay? So, ginawa ko, I use biblical scripture. Number one, hindi sa akin galing yon. Galing yon sa Word of God. Okay? So technically, si God nagsabi niyan. Okay? So, yun yung situation. So, nakita mo kagad ng dating ng gano'n, hindi sa akin galing. I quoted scripture. And sabi dito, for children are not obligated to save up for their parents, but parents for their children. Okay? That already speaks a lot. So this is, what is important is, we want people to build convictions. That I want to help myself so that I will not be a burden to my children. Kasi ang dating mo, kaya nga ako, hindi ako magbibigay ng pera hindi ako hingi ng pera sa anak ko. Parang, ang dating, judgy masyado. Ang dating parang holier than thou ka. Ang galing, parang ikaw lang magaling. And you might run the risk of offending them. But when you use this, ang dating sa kanila, very caring, diba? Use scripture. You're not saying that, mas maganda sana because, that is not the design. So parang ganyan. And may sundot pa ako dito. Because it's not enough, it's not only, it may not be just enough for us to be financially dependent. Because you also want to be a blessing to the next generation. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Okay? So nakita mo, our goal here is to be financially independent, so much so that we will not be dependent on our children, and not only that, we will now be a blessing to them. Diba? We can now give something to them. Because you can only give what you have eh. And ang pwede mo na ipamana, yung excess mo. So that pushes the person to think, masarap din pala makamana. Okay? And now, paano ba natin gagawin yan? So, napansin nyo, no, you are already starting this. I'm not saying that this is number one, I'm so against manipulative selling, but you're already setting up the discussion where you want to take it from here. All right? Okay ba tayo? So far? So I wanted to share this with you, okay? So, baka akala nyo kasi si Randall Johnson puro nosebleed eh. Hindi naman, di ba? Actually, a lot of my talks are really disturbing the heart. Okay? And then I put in my competency afterwards. Ano? So kailangan ganun. Hindi pwedeng story lang, tapos wala kang ibubuga. Kaya napansin nyo, inuna ko yung technical competencies nyo para pag nandito na kayo, meron din kayo huhugutin. Okay? So that's very important. So what is our solution? Okay? What is our solution? Our solution is, let's try to change things. Let's try to grow from being spenders so we can be savers and move on to become investors. So this is the goal. This session that I will have with you, the sessions, I want to be able to help you, to guide you, to move you from being spenders so we begin to save by looking at what we can do for you, what you can do to your current situation so that eventually you can eventually start investing as well. So nakita, so sinet up ko din to na ito mangyayari sa kanila. Alright? Okay. Because I wrote this book, and because it sets me up for something, which by the way, all of you can use these steps that I have. Huwag na kayo magpaalam. Marami namang gumagamit ito, hindi naman nagpapaalam. Di ba? May kilala ako ginamit niya, pinagbilitan nga niya yung ano yung ibang steps, tapos siya na gumawa, di ba? Pati kulay ko, wala akong pakialam. If you use it, use it. Okay? You can use it. Gusto nyo, bigyan ko pa kayo ng high resolution ng ladder na yan. Okay? So very, very important. Okay? Yes, it's rare. I have a new version of that in the, I don't have a copy here. I have the no-nonsense infographic already. So yun yung more, my market is very young. Joke. Okay, so medyo rare nga ito. I haven't requested reprint. I've sold 65,000 copies of this book already. Maybe it's time for me to print it again. So, improve cash flow, get out of debt. This is the concept. Why am I using this? Because I'm trying to set up that if you talk to me, I want you to go through all of these things so that you can achieve your financial goal. So, pwede nga yan. So, you present it in whatever way you want. Go ahead. You have my explicit permission, and you don't even have to ask my permission. Just go and start to use it this way. May mga sales teams na ito ang core presentation nila. They don't even have to buy a book. Okay, just do it. Right? Okay, so yeah, so question. So that's the story. So we start by handling your money well. Now, I'm giving you the full version. Siyempre, iba 20, 30, 40 minutes, 1 hour lang. Because this is a session, I'll do it the full version. I start by telling people that we need to learn how to handle money well. Right? Handle money well. So how do you do this? By increasing cash flow. How do you increase cash flow? We make more money and we spend less money. Right? So people ask yan, so how do you make more money? Ayan, dito na question. So, hindi naman ikaw ang guru, hindi naman ikaw ang di ba, ang expert dito. So, you try to lang. You just want to encourage them. Kasi, don't be those people na tipid-tipid lang, okay na. Hindi rin totoo yun. So, you want to encourage them. So, I tell people, you can increase your cash flow. Number one, you have to, and we know this, no? We work hard, but we also understand how to handle it. So discipline is very important. Having a healthy cash flow happens when the inflow of cash is greater than its outflow. Inflow is greater than its outflow. In other words, that's another way of saying spend less than what you make. Now live below your means. There's many, many ways to say it. I do it this way. When the inflow of cash is greater than its outflow, you can reward it. You can do it whatever works for you. But that's the whole concept. So idea. So discipline. Right? Then I start this. I help people, okay? Kasi, minsan wala ka ng opportunity mag-gritty-gritty ng budget niya. Pero, kung nagmamadali ka, anyway, conceptual presentation lang naman tayo, is this, no? So, one of the fastest way for you to ensure that you have a good cash flow is you follow the 70-30 principle. Wherein, whenever you earn, you only spend 70%, you learn how to save, invest, and if you believe in tithing, on the 30%. So 70-30 rule. You follow this rule, and you're gonna be okay. Right? So, doon pa lang, no? Okay. Ngayon mag-iisip na yung kliyente mo, nakaka-70%. Parang less. You want your client to start believing na dapat may goal pala ako. Dapat may, tama, 70, both scientists use 70-20-10. Now, I believe in tithing, but I cannot impose that on other people. That's why I do the 70-30. Okay? So clear lang ako. Okay? So, by the way, I'm going to be uploading my nice discussion with Brother Bo. Okay? I believe in tithing. I've been preaching people to tithe, but I cannot impose that on other people's beliefs. So I say 70-30. Okay? Now, if you believe in tithing, you get it from the 30%. Okay? If you don't, forgive mo. Bahala na si Lord sa'yo. Joke lang. Okay, so 70-30 principle is what I advocate. So, pero, madali sabihin, mahirap gawin. Alright? So, I now talk to people about, I now start to tell people about, spending habits, buying things too fast, yung mga ganyan na bagay, spending so much on so many things. Now, hindi masama, just want you to understand na, hindi masama bumili ng luxury items as long as you are also saving and investing for the future. Do not make the mistake of trying to tell your client na magastos siya. Let her or him figure it out for himself. Helps by coming up with stories. Okay? By telling them. We can talk about your story also. Okay? And then eventually, that's all. It's not wrong to buy nice stuff. In fact, it helps you be more focused, be motivated. It's just an issue of timing. Okay? Now, I want to help you so that you can have, you can afford the things that, afford the things that you want. So, ang goal natin is not to stop them from enjoying life. Ang goal natin is to make sure that they can enjoy their life in a sustainable manner. Okay? Gets nyo na yan? So, don't be those, those ganun, masalanan ka pag nag-Starbucks ka. Hindi ganun, maraming ganun kasi. Diba? Pagtitipid lang, yun yung buhay nila. Totoo lang, hindi ka yayaman kung nagtitipid ka lang, no? Pero hindi ka naman yayaman kung magastos ka. So, gets nyo yun? Anyway, so, yun na. Or, inunahan na ako ni Miss Austria because I believe, were you there when I did I've been doing these sessions with Finlike, no? So, I try to talk to them about these things. And I tell them the Air Jordan story. So, the story that again, this is optional, of course. I want people to relate to the story. I tell them about the story of a friend of mine who spent so much on Jordans. 30 ang Jordan niya, walang ipon, may utang. At hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin marunong mag-basketball. So, something like that. So, I use this story. But it doesn't have to be that way. Kasi what works in a crowd may not work person to person. See, Carlo Ople. Carlo Ople is my friend, by the way. Okay? Carlo Ople, all these shoes, he monetizes it. Just not to defend the guy. He monetizes it. He makes money out of it. All right? So, he makes money in YouTube endorsements. He trades it. Of course, he buys it. But, hindi luho yung kay Carlo. Negosyo yun. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. Okay? Yan. So, so, si Big Boy Cheng. Okay. Chismis na to. Alam niyo bakit kaya afford the Big Boy Cheng yun lahat? Alam niyo bakit? Okay? Sila may-ari ng Euratex. Naman. Diba? Sila Big Boy Cheng may-ari ng Euratex eh. Naman. Okay. He owns everything. He owns so many things. Okay. So, mayaman yan. Okay. So, yeah. May mga ganun. And Carlo gives it tips also. Carlo is the reason why I am active online. He's the one who brought me to the online world against my wishes. Anyway, yan. Okay, so situation. Right? So, yun lang, kinokopy natin yun, pero hindi natin kinokopy yung paano sila yumaman. Okay? So, yun yung situation. So, then, you can now have a wonderful, open discussion without sounding judgmental about needs and wants. So, when you're spending, this helps our client. So, when this will now have an opportunity, when you sit down with the client and let them undergo cash flow analysis, may needs versus wants sila. Okay? So, ito example so, I'm just saying this is, kasi I'm using interjection to, so if you're talking to a group presentation, this is also helpful. So, sample cash flow, 25,000, 17,000 goes to fixed expenses or a need, and then 8,700 goes to a 1. So kaya siya nagde-negative. So to be able to balance your cash flow, you want to be able to cut some expenses. Either increase your income if possible, or you reduce your expenses, or you can do it at the same time. So, but kung magbabawas po tayo, syempre saan tayo magbabawas?
Hindi, gamay
Doon
na 200. Daghan.
Teka, I need to mute. Okay. Nakamute ba lahat? Okay, mute all.
Di man po maadlawan kay wasing man. Pila ba lang? Pila.
Bakit di mawala yung mute niya? Okay, so ano lang, reminder lang, nakamute tayo please. Naka-recording po tayo. Okay. Sige. Nadi-distract din ako minsan. Na-hack. Okay. So, just basically, yan yon. So, I tell them, so you adjust. Diba? So, if you're talking to a group, you can in stories or in jokes, like what, I don't know if you heard it, I have this joke, no? So, pag nakita kayo gano'n, nag-negative tayo, the first thing we need to do is to stop the bleeding. Saan tayo magbabawas? Siyempre sa wants. Diba? Hindi naman tayo pwede magbawas sa needs. Hindi naman pwede sabihin sa anak nyo, mga anak, nagtitipid na si tatay. Once a day na lang kakain ngayon. Tuturuan ko kayo ng intermittent fasting. Diba? Those things work for a group. It won't work for for an individual. Okay, so depends on how you come in. So basically, I'm just sharing with you guys. Yung ano ko, tinuro mo ng intermittent fasting tapos 4 years old. Patay ka dyan. Okay, so basically. And then, I try to inject certain things na, when I was growing up, my lola will always say this, kapag maiksi ang kumot, matutong mamaloktot. Because a lot of people don't even follow this anymore. But just may mga good values po tayo, mga Pilipino, that we can actually go back to. Okay? Pero hindi lahat. Minsan ang problema, kumot mo sobrang liit. Paano kung yung kumot mo, parang bimpo na lang yung side. Yung kumot, bimpo. No? Okay? Then you also have to learn how to earn extra income. Sometimes, the way to fix your finances is maybe you can create side hustles. Alright. Now, stop muna ako, interject lang ako. Okay? Sa mga managers dito, okay? This is now a recruitment opportunity. Totoo naman, di ba? Bakit ako nag-financial advisor dati? Kasi gipit ako eh. Di ba? Gusto ko lang kumita, kaya ako na-recruit eh. So, pag ganyan na yung discussion nyo, tapos medyo iba na yung dating niya, marunong na kayo bumasa ng signals. So, side hustle. So, or maybe later on, you can go back to this. Alright? So, ano lang to? Bonus tip for managers. Okay? So, bonus tip for managers. So, I now have to tell them, it's not wrong to earn extra income, maybe. And sometimes it's seasonal, or maybe you can do something also to do that. All right? So, earning income is also investing, di ba? Okay, so that's something you can do. All right? So, exit tayo sa hardware. Now, baka magulat kayo, ginag ko si Palito, no? And I tell people, managing money is all about our faithfulness. Because whoever can be trusted very little can be trusted much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. How you handle your little money will be the way you handle your big money. And that's why a lot of celebrities, athletes, they earn so much during their peaks and eventually were not able to prepare. Ano nangyari? They become a burden to their loved ones. It doesn't happen just to celebrities. It happens to everybody. OFW, managers, CEOs, even rich people. So, dapat matuto tayo mag-handle ng money with little. Okay? Now, then I moved on to something. So, nakita nyo, siniset up ko yung discussion. Now, it can be, you can have this presentation in compressed version, long version, part 1, part 2 version. You really have to contextualize it to people you're talking to. I can present this in 30 minutes or I can present this for a whole day. Even I've learned how to, manage this properly for that. All right? So, yeah. So, until that there as a part. Yung Build That Do As Part, that's a book of Chinky. That's a good book, by the way. So, learn how to resist and minimize it. Now, okay. I want to share this about debt. we don't always have to demonize debt. Okay? The way some financial speakers done it is they demonize so much debt, which for me is excessive. What I want people to know is have the wisdom in managing debt by identifying good versus bad debt and so forth and so on. Okay? That's okay, but that's me ha, by the way ha. I'm not putting down anybody. I'm not saying but basically ako I'm anti-debt pero I won't say na it's wrong altogether. Okay? There's a right way to do it and there is a way. Okay? But again, for a lot of people, I tell them to stay away. Tama, stay away from consumer debt. Get out of debt, pay off old debt, and avoid new debt. Okay? I used to have this statement as, parang nilalahat ko lahat ng debt. But I've since toned down my statement. So now I talk about good versus bad debt, the right way to use it. So basically, you can talk about debt because ako, personally, I had a debt problem in my earlier years, in the 90s, wherein I raked up something like 1.6 million debt. So, yan yung naging problema ko eh. That's why I'm trying to teach. And when you're dealing with people with so much, with a debt problem, number one, be sensitive and help them. Guide them in their cash flow. Don't sell them yet. Guide them first. That client will ultimately buy from you and he will remain to be a very loyal client to you. Okay? So I now try to teach them. If they have a debt problem, I introduce the snowball effect. How do you do the snowball effect? You list down all your debt. You try to pay the smallest one first. Once you've done that, you move to the next debt, the next debt, the next step. Meron akong short video niyan. You look at my YouTube. It's my YouTube and it's my Facebook. I have a 3-minute video. Have you seen that? Yung ginawa ko paano, parang laundry. Medyo may animated. Okay, yeah, Dave Ramsey advocacy. But it's not just Dave Ramsey. This is not originally Dave Ramsey's. This is the snowball effect. Okay? The snowball method. So, if you've seen how, commercial. I had a video at the beginning of the year, parang my reminder video to everybody that garnered like 30,000 views or something like that. So it's in my Facebook page. And it's also in my YouTube. So do check it out. Part of it is all about the debt. Okay? Some of the snippets I've also put it in TikTok. So basically, I talk to them about this, the snowball effect. Because it worked. It worked for me. It's going to work for them. Is it the only way? No, it's not the only way. But it's a helpful way for many people. Because remember, money is behavioral. This worked because it now changes your behaviors. Is it the most effective way? Of course not. But it works because it deals with behavior problems, right? So yeah. So I encourage people. I tell them, at the end of the day, it's good to be debt-free. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender, right? So I tell them that. And then encourage people that debt is the new status symbol. Debt-free. Debt-free is the new status symbol. So try to get out of, the bad kind of debt so that we can be debt-free, right? So, yeah. Then I start to talk about building emergency funds. Again, for context, this can run for very, very long runs, or this can be very, very short. So it depends on how you use it. All right. So then I encourage people to have emergency funds. Now, emergency funds became very, very the in thing because of the pandemic. So it's nice to talk about emergency funds now. It's mas open makinig ang tao sa emergency funds because of the pandemic. So build emergency funds. Wherein I encourage people to have 3 to 6 months. In fact, what the pandemic taught us, it might be good to have 6 to 9 months. So 3 months is good. 3 months worth of your savings is good. 3 months worth of your expenses is good. So if you're spending, I remember I always use expenses. I don't want to bloat. Very careful that I don't bloat. 3 months worth of expenses is good. If I spend 50,000, I have 150,000 in the bank, I am good. If I have 200, it's better. If I have 250, it's great. If I have 300, it's excellent. So 3, 4, 5, 6. If you can stretch it further, that's also great. Okay, it's admirable. But do not be overwhelmed. Anything that we want to do with finances, we do it in baby steps. little by little, cut little, encourage a little, pay a little, and eventually, until we get the hang of it, then it will now work for our advantage. Because baby steps brings us to our big dreams. Right? So baby steps. That's a very Dave Ramsey thing, the baby steps thing. Okay? Obviously, I'm a big fan. Right. Then, right. Then I'm gonna, it's already 8:23. Okay. Okay ba? We're gonna go on a quick break. Gonna go on a quick break. And when we go back, we will continue this discussion. Okay ba? So for the meantime, we're back to retro music. Retro music. Okay. Okay, so moving forward, how is it so far? Konting na lang, check na tayo sa inyo. Kamusta kayo? How do you find this digital presentation so far? O kamusta na? I mean, bukod sa ano, college.
Nagsugod namin, ha?
Okay.
Sige naman, sir. Sige,
Yes.
sige.
Okay. So, kamusta? How is this presentation good for you? Okay? So yan, walang pressure on both advice. It's a you know what I'm you know what okay. Can you ano lang tayo pa-mute lang tayo please. And you know what I like doing is I like to create conversations. Because it's in these conversations that are important. So moving on, I now talk about the importance of risks. Talk about life risks. Talk about insurance. And then as I tell people, it's always a good idea to ensure proper protection by insuring your life, getting health insurance, and at the same time, your non-life insurance. See, session 6, subtly coming in here. So life insurance, health insurance, and non-life insurance. I tell people that number one, it is important we are protected against untimely demise. Because you're able to talk about, a lot of, ito is the irony, no? Maraming life insurance advisors, hindi nila ma-discuss yung mga ganitong bagay sa clients nila. Untimely demise, death, sakit, parang nahihirapan sila. So, when you have done the conceptual selling, the conceptual presentation, they are now more open to discuss these things with you. So when you go to the discussion of insurance, number one, it's for about our untimely demise. Okay, that's one. Okay? And it's also for this. So may konting drama lang because emotional selling can also, not selling, but emotional reminders are very important, no? That it should be called love insurance because we buy it to protect our loved ones. And that's the reason why we need to keep on reminding people that they need to protect themselves properly, by getting adequate insurance. And that's where you come in. Okay, that's where you come in. So the other function here, and I guess now more relatable for people, okay, is the serious physical breakdown. In other words, sicknesses and all these things. Okay, so very important. This is the goal. We want to cover you. We cannot move forward until we make sure that you are properly covered against untimely death, untimely demise, or serious physical breakdown. Okay? Now, you can now talk to them about these things when you're assessing with them. So you can ask them if they have health coverage. So one quick way to do this is know your health coverage, less the actual cost of healthcare. Is it enough? Do you have enough coverage? Those are people ask them. So you can ask this question. You've come to this point in discussion that your clients will now be very, very open. Okay? We can now try to reach out to them. Kasi remember, you're selling products na ang gaganda na ng mga health. Even your health riders today are way better than my time. Okay? So in fact, I want to do a series on certain product first. I think I've identified 3-4 companies when I want to do a feature on, good health products for them. Okay, so health coverage, less actual health costs, that's very important for us to understand. Because alam natin na kulang talaga ang health coverage ng mga tao. Okay, so mayroong gap. May health gap. That's very important. Okay, the fact remains that most Filipinos do not have insurance or have very little of it. And it's the reason why it is important that when we talk about this, we deal with this, so we can help you prepare for the future. Now, this is what I recommend. Everybody should have enough savings, should have enough investment, and enough insurance. Why? Savings will give you liquidity. Investments will maximize your earned income. Insurance protects your future income. You need all of them. And insurance gives you immediate financial security. And that's why it's important that we talk to you about this. So again, this is the conversation where I'm leading my clients to so that they can more or less be more open-minded to understand bakit kailangan ko to. Okay? And after I've done that whole discussion on insurance, this is where session 3 comes in and session 4 comes in and even session 5. Let's talk about, kasi, di ba, remember, value mo eh. Di ba, galing itong kausap ko ah. Since magaling to, baka pwede tayo mag-usap about investments. Alright? So, ano lang, remember our discussion, ginamit ko some elements of session 3, I'm using it here. You know, most people, when they prepare for the future, they beg, steal, and borrow. But our recommendation is you do it early, you do it wisely, and you do it regularly. And whenever you're talking to your clients about these things, they're now very curious. Ano ba? Oo nga, no? Paano ba early? Paano ba wisely? Paano ba regularly? They teach me. But then again, you have to, kailangan ikaw mismo mag-pace. So before we talk about investing, let me discuss some fundamentals with you first. Mga bagay na importante. Okay? First and foremost, I want you to understand, dito pala siniset na natin yung kliyente, that in a volatile, unpredictable, and local environment, the best strategy for investment is always going back to planning and going back to foundations. What are these foundations? Number one, we need to know your goals. Na, nakita nyo, papasok tayo, ano ba talaga ang mga goals? Ano ba importante? Retirement is a goal, education for kids is a goal, and so forth and so on. So, this is an opportunity for you to now shift towards goals. Identify, in other words, objectives. So, pwedeng in and out ka dito. So, pwedeng daanan mo dito and then eventually, balikan mo yung kliyente mo isa-isa. So, objectives. Second, time frames. Some investments are good for the short term, some investments are good in the long term, some investments are mid-term. Wala pong investment na maganda sa short term at maganda rin sa long term. Okay? So, you understand that we need to educate our clients with this. Okay? If you're talking to a group, you can tell them about, I have certain jokes. Like, some people approach me for retirement planning. 3 years na lang, di pa mag-retire na. Tinanong ko ano nagawa nila, wala pa sila nagagawa. So, tinanong, Randall, what can you do for me? I tell them, I can pray for you. Mga ganun joke na bentang-benta yan sa crowd tsaka sa Zoom. Pero sa individual, pwede hindi mag-click. So, and again, you have my authority, explicit authority to use my funny jokes. Walang sisihan kung hindi na-click. Okay. So again, we talk about risks. Again, these are elements of session 3 that I am using. You're seeing that the elements of certain things, how we're using it, how Val was talking to you about hinihimay mo yung sales process, Marvin talking about investment and all these things. It's all here. It's all culminating. Tinatahi ko lang, in other words. Then remember this. We talked about how we talk to our clients. And what is your tolerance? What is your requirement? How much risk can you afford? Because I want to help you. I want to make sure that the products that I recommend to you is something that you really need. According to your tolerance, according to your requirement, and according to capacity. I will not just, I want your clients to feel hindi ka lang basta mag-recommend sa kanila. Na pag-aaralan mo talaga. Now, if you start talking about these things, why it's important to know these things, then automatically, you now become so credible to your clients. Diba? So imagine mo ikaw yung kliyente, tapos ganito ka mag-present sa kliyente mo. Pinapakita mo sa kanya tolerance, requirement, capacity. Do you think ordinary advisors can do this? Honestly, unless those who have attended the masterclass. Okay? Okay? 10% per year, magiging 2 ang pera mo. Okay. Power. Okay. So, dami na naman scam. So again, di ba, if you talk to them about these things, then they're seeing, and they're also telling them about the limitations and also the peculiarities of the investments. So you do it that way. And then you introduce diversification. The concept of diversification to them. You either use stories or use examples, that there is no perfect investment. That's why we need to combine your investments. My recommendation, Mr. Client, is that let's combine high-risk assets and low-risk assets. High-risk assets will allow your money to grow. Low-risk assets will keep your money safe. The right combination, we will need to sit down to understand this. We also want you to create an investment that has high liquid and low liquid assets. High liquid assets, we need that because what if we need money and there's opportunity? We need to get money. Cash is important. But at the same time, we also know that low liquid assets can do well in the future. Stocks, property, they're not liquid, but to make sure that you are properly covered, we combine high liquid with low liquid, high risk with low risk. I can do that with you. I can help you understand that better. Right? Then introduce the options. Right? Again, elements of session 3, wherein I create the goals, know the risk tolerance, the funding structure, the options. I don't know if you remember this, no? How we're going to do it, adjust, educate, monitor, adjust, and educate. So very important that we go through this class. Kasi now your client's identifying, hindi pala bibili lang ako ng produkto tapos na. Meron pala tayong kailangan gawin. Ay, importante pala na yung advisor ko marunong. Mukhang kausap ko magaling. So pwede ko pagkatiwalaan to. Mas credible siya. Then later, next session talk about branding. This is gonna enhance opportunity for them to talk to you. So investment planning, you help them, your clients. Right? Now, Rick, kamusta kayo so far? How is this digital presentation working for you? Again, I'm telling you, you can contextualize this, you can get piecemeals, some you can be longer, some can be shorter. You have to learn how to use this to your advantage. Okay? So, the whole time that I am talking to you, do I sound like I'm pushing something to you, a product? I want to find out. Hindi, di ba? Di ba? So, it's the discussion. It's the stories. It's the conversations that you want to be able to do this. Okay? Sana ganito ang mga FA na nabit ko dati. Okay, so again, we all learn. That's why nagpa-masterclass kayo. Okay? Now you understand why I'm so... Hindi ko ma-explain ano yung masterclass. I just try nyo na lang. Okay? Minsan sabi ko nga, pag hindi maganda, i-refund ko na lang kayo. Because it's all about these things. Okay? Sama ba hindi bumili na. So, yan, tama. It's very conversational. And I agree, tama sabi ni Rachel Castaneda na no one objects education. You come in a very neutral, caring, parang iba yung dating eh. When you talk to them about, but again, you need to have the correct competencies to be able to do this. Diba? Kasi pag, sige nga, anong klaseng investment? Then doon ka napapasok. Okay? So, thank you, Rachel. No one objects education. Pwedeng gawin ko. Okay. So, yeah, it's very engaging. It's conversational. All of this is conceptual. Okay? Okay, number one, I don't carry any products. So what can I sell anyway? But this is very conceptual. So I want this to come in very natural for all of you. All right? So, yan. Yan. Tama. Clients may, okay yan ha. In fact, you're now setting up for, napansin nyo, assuming na nakat kayo ng, ito maganda, pag maganda usapan nyo, at may oras yung kliyente nyo, tatagalin usapan nyo. Assuming na makat kayo, sigurado ako, nakaset up na kayo for second meeting. Sigurado ako dyan. Okay, I want to hear more. I want to hear more. Right? Okay, now, again, reminder, there will always be volatility investing. Am I just interjecting? Because, part of this, your client must understand. And it's good, maganda to kasi sa mga advisors na nag-overpromise. Dito pa lang, sinet up, pinigilan mo na yung sarili mo mag-overpromise. Di ba? So alam mo na magiging okay in the future. So again, reminder to my clients, to you, it's always good to prepare and let's think about your long term. Let's focus on your objectives. Regardless of what happens to the market, regardless of what happens in investment, we know that for a fact that we need to constantly invest properly and think of the long term because you will be rewarded by the long term. In investing, we know that time is your greatest ally. Very, very, very helpful. Talking to younger people, 30s, 40s, this is going to be effective. When you're talking to 60, medyo hindi na to. Don't use this slide. Okay? Okay, so again, contextualize it. Now, just a reminder, okay, for people. I tell people that wealth building is not something we can do overnight. It has something to do over time. And we need to do it properly with wisdom. Proverbs 13:11 reminds us, wealth from get rich quick schemes quickly disappears, but wealth from hard work grows over time. So very careful. Now you're not over promising. Now you're reminding them that wealth building is a process that is, the products that you carry are good in the future because they're very long term. You're not promising quick returns. And again, ang ganda nito kasi the Bible now supports what you are trying to tell your clients. All right? Now, again, reminder, invest early, invest wisely, invest regularly. If we do this again and again and again, and then you are properly protected, you have emergency funds, you're managing your debt, you're managing your finances, then you can build your future properly. You can achieve many things. Your goals will now be realization. It's not impossible anymore. You can build wealth the right way. Okay, so you can now try to talk to them about these things. Just a just a reminder about diversification. Again, I used these elements from the last session. Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, divide your investments among many places for you do not know what risk might lie ahead. So that they understand that there is no sure thing. That's why I need to diversify. So these are concepts that are reinforced by age-old wisdom. And it is very sound. And you have the confidence to talk to them about something. Now, and people will ask you, ito maganda lang to para lang ano na, para lang ma-set up yung client na, oh, okay, sige. So, tatanong sila, ano ba secret sa wealth? Okay? And honestly, friends, there are no secrets to wealth. The secret to wealth is not a secret at all. Okay? Sorry. Sesegue ako ha. You know this guy, and naiinis ako, sabi nila kamukha ko daw yun. Yung nasa EDSA may picture. You know that guy na feng shui? People tell me I look like him. I don't know if they insult me or what. You know that guy? What's his name? Hans Kua. So, anyway, kamukha ko ba siya? Okay, anyway, so, I met him. We were in an event together. Not event, we were in ABS-CBN. Sabi niya, your name's familiar. Randall, so, yeah, I do finance. I know you're the phone. Yeah, I've been reading about you. We should do an event together. Sabi ba naman sa akin, ni Master Hans. Sabi ko, paano na ako nang reconcile yung gusto kong ituro tsaka gusto mong ituro, di ba? So, parang, nagmano na lang ako. Hindi, talaga, gano'n siya, gano'n, no? Kasi siya, parang medyo, So, di ba sabi niya, 2020 will be a great year. O, di ba? Bakit di pa naman tapos ang 2020? Lagyan ng laurel yung wallet, mga ganun. So, people always like those stories. But in reality, do not be one of those. Hindi ko kamukha. Yan, at least, di ba? Sinabi, hindi ko kamukha. Thank you. Thank you, mga estudyante ko kayo. Okay. Sinabihan ako ng ganyan. Anyway, so, Master Hans, okay. So, opposite po kami, opposite. Pati sa paniniwala, opposite po kami. He's younger than me, by the way. Okay, so, so, walang secret to wealth. We don't be those kind of people na, gato lang yan, hindi ganun lang yan. And again, I go back to the Bible. Proverbs 6:6 to 6:8 says, go to the aunt of sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief officer or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. Very relatable. Bakit ang langgam masipag? Nakakita na ba kayo ng langgam na tamad? Diba? Wala naman, diba? Pero ang langgam hindi lang masipag, ang langgam masinap din. And I want people to understand that building wealth it's not like that, but it is not very complicated also. Iba ang simple, iba ang madali. Right? So again, you want to reinforce the habits, the behavior. I need to, ox na daw ang 2021 kasi ox. Okay? Ox na ox. Anyway. So again, I use this. I use Proverbs 6:6-6:8. I love to use this scripture because it's the truth. And it works for people. And then I end with this. Kasi financial, no? I always end that wealth and the ability to create wealth. And this is me. I mean, of course, you don't have to use this. Comes from the Lord, and it is not for our purpose, but for His. I want people to understand. That's the reason why a lot of people follow Bo Sanchez. A lot of people like to read my stewardship messages, or just kasi nga they understand. Ang Pilipino by nature, alam naman nila talaga kung sino si Lord. Kailangan lang naman malaman ano ba yung gusto ni Lord sa buhay nila. Okay? And you have this opportunity to make them understand that it is in God's desire for them to be successful, pero for the right reasons. Kaya for His purpose and not for you. Alright? Then, blah, blah, blah. I end up with these things. Alright, so, okay. This is how I present. If I'm gonna sell to you, one way or the other, this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna, contextualize it, distribute it, see how I can do it, and so forth and so on. But you see that it takes concepts and education to really not just convince people, to make them act on something. Kasi pag nagawa mo to, parang realize, so how I do it? Ano ba, saan ba tayo magsa-start? Okay, we start with this. So very process-oriented kayo. Alright? So again, I'm gonna upload this video. I'm gonna upload this presentation. Tonight, I'm gonna upload it na. And then you can use it. You can piecemeal it. Suggestion ko lang, do not use it the way I use it. Okay? But you can contextualize it. Session 9 will help you on how to be able to use it for social media. Some elements can be used for your social media accounts. Again, we get session 9. And then next session will be about branding. And this is how you can, get people to talk to you. Come to think of it, dapat pala inuna ko yung branding bago presentation. Anyway, yan. So yan, just create. You can create. You can learn how to use PowerPoint or Keynote. You create it, you customize it, you create your brand. Don't copy, because this is very important. Remember, I speak a lot. It's going to be to your disadvantage. Huh? I speak a lot. I am in many events. I have many videos. So if you copy what I do and you put it there, and parang nakita ko kay Randall Chongson yan, magbabackfire sa inyo. Okay? But if the theme, the context, the concept, you can use it. Gets no? Now, if you're going to use the ladder, because I'm also identified so much with that, just tell them, I got this from Randall Chongson. Oh, it's your choice. It's your choice. I just want to protect you, because if you come out there owning it and the people say, si Randall Chongson yan, they backfire sa inyo. Pero kahit maliit lang, we got this from Randall. He was my teacher in master classes. So something that can, at least in a way, protect you. Kasi marami din mga tao, di ba? They will call you out. Remember, have you heard of the concept, the cancel culture? I don't mind, actually. You don't have to give me, I was telling the other speakers, ayaw magbigay na siya. Ako binibigay ko lang. Bakit? Di ba? Okay, hindi na. Issue naman nila, hindi ko issue yun. Okay, so, but just, parang so that you won't be, we live in a cancel culture. They can say, gato yan, gato. No, it's not. So protect yourself. Also. All right. Okay. So at this point, okay, hindi ako overtime. Okay. But we can now open for some questions. Baka meron kayong mga gustong tanong. Ano ba yung mga tingin yung for clarification? It's nice to ask me these questions now. Okay, we have a few more minutes. Okay? Yung kanina yung title ng kanta, by Blue. Pero merong earlier group yung by Nexus. Di ba? Too close, parang gano'n. Anyway. So, paano ba straight to magkano ang opening ni client? Okay. Alam mo minsan, yung client mo, gauge mo din eh. Kasi minsan magkano ba? Minsan di naman yata seryoso bumili yun eh. So, di ba? Parang, yun yung mga situation mo. Okay? So, you have to check first. Kasi, how serious is this person? Yung mga taong magkano kagad, minsan din ang bibili yan eh. Di ba? Parang compare lang yan. So, it's always nice to look for client you can practice. Of course, if your client says, ano ba naman, bigyan ka tangkot. Kung bibili ka. Those things. So, pero, try to look for clients that will talk to you. Paano pag hindi insurable ng health insurance? Okay. You do your assignment. Kung alam mo hindi na siya insurable, okay, huwag mo masyadong paasahin doon sa health coverage mo kasi baka mamaya mainis lalo. Okay? So, talk about, pero pwedeng insurable pa siya. So, how do you set up the meeting? Okay. Now, you guys are advisors. A passive way is something that we will teach you in session 9 and 8 and 9. More 9. We use as the social media use for that. But old-fashioned, they still call people. My name is Randall Johnson. I'm a financial planner from XYZ company. And I want to be able to discuss some ideas and concepts with you that I feel will going to be very, very helpful. And anyway, this is going to be a Zoom. It's, if this does not worth your time, blah, 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 blah. So those things will help. What if, so hopefully Rachel, I was able to answer that. What if, sir, the client has cash flow but mismanaged, meaning doesn't have savings, but really wants to get a policy, even wala pa siyang emergency fund? Okay. Ako, personally, pwede mo naman isabay ang building the cash flow and building the emergency fund. Okay? So, sorry. So, pwedeng talaga, gusto ko na insurance. Ito yung downside. Pag pinilit mo yung insurance kagad, wala pang emergency funds, may high probability mag-lapse yan. Ayaw mo yun. So, you want your client to start managing it first. Okay? Or, kaya pasok, baka kailangan term muna. Okay? Or spend a few minutes lang. One session na on cash flow. Tingnan mo lang. You need to have a gauge. Remember, you don't want to sell a policy to someone who cannot continuously pay. Kung hindi niya ma-manage yung cash flow niya, hindi rin niya mababayan yung premium niya. Konting changes lang yan. Nasabit ka. So, again, protect yourself against those things. Pwede isabay ang building cash flow, pwede naman. Okay, saka pwede naman eh. Okay? Paano pag umaasa sa government para sa retirement? Okay? Unang-una, honestly, maganda naman ang GSIS to begin with. So, you come in as somebody who can augment. Parang, yeah, it's good, GSIS. I come in because in case na kulang yung GSIS, we can still build it because all pension plans are not designed to give you a life of comfort. They only give you parang life survivability lang. So, depending, you go back to your goals first. Ano bang klaseng retirement ang gusto mo? What are you looking for? Diba? Ano ba yung level of comfort of retirement ang gusto mo? Okay. Then you do your numbers. Quantitative style. Then you see that, the limitations. Okay? So, ako, Carlo, I work with the client kasi number one, best interest ni client kagad. So, pag wala pa siya emergency funds, I can do it the way. I can ask him to build at least kahit 1 month man lang. Kasi you need to assess kung kaya niya magtipid. Or, pwede naman isabay yung insurance at saka yung building the emergency fund. So, gauge mo na lang ano ba yung capacity. Ang ayaw mo is ayaw mo magbenta sa isang tao na malabo masustain yung pagbabayad ng policy mo. Kasi yari ka din. In a lapse policy, nobody wins. Your client, you, and your company. Okay. So, minomonitor ko sila. Carlo, basically, clients, you build relationship with them. Maybe not tedious, but it's always a good idea to do annual reviews at least. So, maganda kasi this is set up, because remember, when you plan for something, hindi naman lahat yan na nagawa kagad eh. So, maybe some of the plans that you're doing, let's say you're planning to have a 5 million policy, maybe 2 million pa lang kaya niya. Go back a year after, review, what change, and maybe you can afford to add on to. So that's the beauty. That's the beauty if you're doing it financial planning way, preparing it with them, building that relationship with them. Then eventually, yan yung client mo, eventually, a client can buy 3, 4, 5 times in his lifetime from you. Okay. I noticed they would easily prefer pure investment having life insurance first. Yes, Kat, that's why you need to educate people about risk planning, risk management. The FNA, the financial needs analysis will help them. Okay? At the end of the day, wala tayong magagawa kung ano gusto ng client. Pero, we have to take it upon ourselves to educate first. At the end of the day, that's his choice. Kung ayaw niya talaga ng insurance, gusto niya pure investment, wala tayong magagawa doon. Pero, if you convince your client properly, you educate them, and then eventually, they will see that walang shortcut pati sa sales. Okay? So, how do you follow up, sir? Meaning, a month before you, walang right and wrong answer dyan, Rodrigo. So, very important. That's, number one, you need to build relationship with them. Kilalanin mo yung kliyente. Ito bang kliyente pwede i-follow up? Or iba yung kliyente hindi dapat i-follow up agad? You see, you assess your client. Remember what Val is teaching? Hinihimay mo ngayon yung sales process. Okay? These are all, that's why all our sessions are related to what we are doing. And I hope you remember that. That's why, by the way, mag-delete na pala ako ng mga videos this week. So, last nyo na panoorin yung session 1 and session 2 this week, ha? By Wednesday, I will take both of them down. So, watch nyo na rin. So, para makita nyo. How do you follow? Isa ako sa maganyan, Miss Kat, inuna invest ko bago insurance. Hindi ko alam na insurance dapat pagsak market. Yan kasi you know naman kung ano yung mag-work. So, again, have the conviction to what is important for them. Dapat bang i-push yung client na kumuha ng insurance? Wala. Yeah, we answered that already. Pwede isabay, pwedeng process. You will have to use judgment. Okay, again, in that judgment, you have to, don't forget, number 1, okay, always in the best interest of the client. Second, suitability. Okay, I know you have sales targets and everything. I know that. Okay, but at the end of the day, we're here to serve our clients. How do you best serve your client? Insurance muna bago emergency fund? Do you honestly believe that's it? Then go for it. But if you think, teka. Kasi may danger yan. May danger talaga yan. Ang client na hindi makabuild ng emergency fund will be a client na hindi makabayad ng premium in the future. I don't know if you agree with me, but that's how I see it. Baliwala ang policy mo kung lapse agad. Naka first year pa lang, maklowback ka pa. Diba? Okay, so mamaya, awardee ka na, pupunta ka na ng abroad, hindi ka nakabiyahe kasi persistency. Okay. I maintain a 90+% persistency in my career. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, that's it? No more questions for me? That's it? No more questions? You sure? How do you respond to a prospect na MLM earner pala tapos sasabihin sa'yo, bebenta mo lang ako nasa sales din ako. I think the branding in next session and the social media will really help you. You need to establish who you are, how you add value to their lives, how you are different from what they're doing without sounding very judgmental. So, alam mo, hindi sila madali kausap, pero they need the education because I have had financial planning clients na MLM, and when you talk to them and you educate them well, connect well, they will see the value talaga. Hindi kailangan ganon. So how do you deal with an arrogant person na kung alam niya mas mayaman siya sa'yo? Okay. Number 1, alam mo, minsan ka lang pamili ng prospect niyo, di ba? Yan ba talaga mabibentahan mo? Kung sobrang arrogante, hindi ka pakinggan, di ba? Ba't ka ba mag-waste ng oras? Move on ka to the next client. Di ba? So, profile mo rin. Pero approach mo rin. Baka naman perspective mo lang yan. Pag na-reject ka din, na-reject ka. Di ba? I mean, at the end of the day, you don't win all clients. Kaya nga gusto ko, conceptualize, education side, so that, okay nga to. Kasi lahat to may makita silang value. We are not here to compete who is better than the other, who is richer than. Our goal is, he may be richer than you, friend. But you're more knowledgeable when it comes to these things to him. Diba? Lalo sa insurance. So, yun. Kaya nga, ang key nyo is, be very good in insurance. Kasi yun ang key nyo. Marami kasi insurance advisors, ang finocus, investments Diba? Marami mas magaling sa investment kaysa investment advisor, sa financial advisor. For insurance, nobody can be better than you because una-una, you're licensed to do it, you're trained to do it, you carry the products, and so forth and so on. O kailan mo may push ng insurance, may big debt pa siya, o turuan mo na mag-snowball effect. Importante rin naman ng insurance. Pag malaki utang, baka dito papasok, baka term muna. And then eventually, sabihin mo sa kanya, term muna tayo. Pag nabayaran natin utang mo, okay, yung ginabayad ng utang mo, convert natin to VUL. I think that's a more ethical way of doing it. Okay? So, Rochelle, I hope that helps it. Dito, kung mag-RFP mo kami, may discount. I'm the director, co-founder, and I teach there, but I don't have any control over operations. Okay? So, you just have to apply like everybody else. Okay? So, yeah. By the way, dito, AFP kayo, the junior version. So, I'm gonna announce that later on sa graduation niya. But basically, yan. Tama naman, meron naman. Saka depende ng klaseng debt. Yun nga sabi ko, depende ng klaseng debt. Baka naman may mortgage ka o gano'n. Hindi naman yan nababayaran ng basta-basta. Okay? Pero dahil baon ka sa utang, di ba? Ang dami naghahabol sa'yo. Unahin mo muna kaya yun. How much RFP? If I'm not mistaken, it's a little lower now because it's online. Something like 25K. 27, sorry. Mas alam pa ni Erlinda. Okay. 27K. Di ba? Kaya nga sulit na sulit yung 3.5 nyo, di ba? Kahit i-buy kayo ng 5,000, di ba? Pwede, yes, AFP has nothing to do with your license as an advisor. AFP is, learning the financial parts of those things. Okay. Paano mo nyo po na-close 50 pa naman naman? Is it corporate? Individual. Corporate naman, hindi naman ganyan na bilang eh. Individual yun. Isa-isa yun. I did families, like when I talk to a family, mother, father, kung merong malaking matandang anak, I include them. Then referral nito, referral nun. Minsan, I would insure the whole family, magkakapatid. I've done that, no? Or in a company, magka-office mates, I've done that. I was able to do that also. Kaya medyo, of course, by the way, hindi po malalaki yung premium nun kasi I was young. I wanted to have just the numbers. Then eventually, I learned how to sell bigger premiums over time. Ibig sabihin na natapos yung retirement fund gamit sa renovation ng house? Not wise. Okay? But again, hindi natin call yun eh. Baka mamaya may pera naman sila para doon eh. So, pero paano sila mabubuhay afterwards? Diba? So, partly yes, but not all. So, is it good to say na exemption ang housing loan? Yes. Yes. No, sa akin, housing, hindi ka lang bayad ng housing ko bago ako mag-invest, diba? So, sinasabi ko nga, yan yung bad debt. So, yung mga housing, yung housing, car, okay lang yan. That's part of the, basta kaya ng cash flow. At the end of the day, it's just cash flow. Okay? Basta kaya ng cash flow. Advisable mo RFP, parang hindi. RFP has more training, is more deliberate, and of course, more expensive. AFP is designed for financial advisors. The RFP is not designed for financial advisors. RFP is designed to be a financial planner. The AFP is an associate. It's the junior version for hindi pa ready. Okay? The RFP, you need to defend it. Okay? Dito, you have to take that. So, yun lang. But, the learning, parehong importante. Okay? Yan, parehong importante. Okay? So, kung di pa kayo ready mag-RFP, I don't recommend it. Kasi una-una mahaba yung training, may defense. Kailangan ready na kayo. Okay? Need mo na certain requirements. Actually, ang requirement lang sa'yo is tinapos mo yung masterclass. Inattendan mo yung masterclass. Yan lang. And I will waive. There are certain requirements that I can personally waive. And that is only for masterclass graduate. Why? Napansin nyo, sobrang dami ng tinuro sa inyo. In fact, mas marami pa tinuro dito kaysa sa RFP. In terms of, kasi 10 sessions, di ba? Okay? Yeah, actually, sabi mo, magagalit sa akin matagal. Ano pa naman ako, co-founder pa naman ako. Okay, yun lang. RFP, CFP, RFP is the CFP, walang CFP sa Pilipinas, although the CFP license here is with the RFP. If we choose to open the CFP program, it's going to be the RFP office going to do it. But there's no need. It's expensive. The market's not ready. So maybe in the future. The CFP with us have been talked to us for quite some time. But kaya lang sobrang successful na RFP dito. Parang, from the RFP, kasi it's just a CFP. It's just, CFP lang kilala sa US, kilala sa Canada. Pero sa Pilipinas, in some Asian countries, kilala yung RFP. Mas kilala RFP dito. So, parang that's gonna be, okay. Yes. Iba ang learnings dito. Merong pareho, merong iba. Okay? So you can take both. Some people have taken the RFP afterwards. But, I want you to enroll in the RFP. Remember, I'm the co-founder. I'm the director. I teach them. But you need to be ready. If you're not ready, don't go into RFP. Then take the time. Anyway, you can be the AFP. So maybe a year, 2 years, may pambayad na kayo, may pang-commit na kayo, then go. See, Linda na enrolled in both. Good job. Okay. RFP is 8 weeks. 8 Saturdays kasi yan. Then you have to defend it. Okay, para ako spokesman. Totoo naman, ako naman nag-push na RFP. Okay? So, may no-split doon. May no-split naman dito. Di ba? May no-split doon. Hello. Ang wala doon sa RFP na nandito, stock market. Okay? Macroeconomics. Okay? Wala yung mga yon sa RFP. Pero nandito yun. Yung insurance doon is not the same here. Okay? So, sino ba yung matanda insurance ng Elena? No? Iba rin yung insurance na approach ko dito sa doon. Social media, wala doon. Meron silang estate planning. Meron silang retirement planning na ako nagtuturo. Ako nagtuturo noon eh. Ako yung nagko-consolidate sa kanila. TVM, time value of money. Behavior finance, meron dito. Merong elements na pareho, may elements na iba. Because this is designed to help financial advisors more than anything else. Hindi si Alvin nagtuturo ng TPM, si Melvin Esteban. Melvin. Okay. Alvin is an economist. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So with this, I'm gonna continue the question. I'm gonna stop recording. So watch out for session 8 as we talk about personal branding, session 9 on social media, session 10 on building your career. So this is me signing off, and then I'm gonna leave it for our Q&A conversations.